Hi guys, so this is our second or third video, and so the question was, what do we consider individually, what do we consider the most damaging type of abuse? And I think from the one video I watched already, I think that probably a lot of us had a really difficult time deciding this, because we don't want to, by no means do we want to take away from how traumatic any sort of abuse is. And I think when it came down to it, for me at least, the physical, sexual abuse within the family, or specifically within the family, was what I think is the most damaging. I know that there's a lot of research out there that says that psychological abuse is technically, or can be, more traumatic, or the most damaging. So with physical and sexual abuse, there's obvious the immediate physical pain from abuse. So it can be, like a bruise or broken bones, or even death in some cases. And then stemming from that, there's going to be a whole slew of things that can happen, behavioral things, ADHD, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, and so that one event happened, and then further on down the line, they're still feeling the psychological, emotional effects of that abuse, that initial abuse. And that can make it so it's really difficult for them to form meaningful relationships. There's a lack of trust, because they couldn't trust, their parent or this guardian who is supposed to be loving them and taking care of them. They lack basic social skills, and they use aggression to handle just life problems. And then even further down the line, or just more effects of it, it's just, as adults, these individuals are more likely to abuse substances, so alcoholism and drug abuse, and more likely to continue this cycle of abuse with their own children. So that is one, but I feel like coming in as a strong second is definitely psychological abuse. And I wanted to hold them equal almost, because so then you have psychological abuse, although it's missing the physical component, there's still severe emotional trauma, and I think in some respects psychological abuse can be worse because it's harder to identify. You think of the people that are probably around children the most. It's going to be teachers, probably, I think it's teachers and doctors, and the people that are going to be reporting this. Psychological abuse is much harder to identify because these kids don't have those physical marks. So that, in that sense, it is more dangerous, because this could go on for years and years, and it, no one could know about it. So, and the way I look at psychological abuse, just the consistent neglect of a child's emotional needs. And again, the effects of this, go on and on. Anxiety, depression, there's multiple health problems that can result from this as well. So basically, how I think in the end of this, I definitely see that psychological abuse and physical and sexual abuse, to me at least, when I looked at this initially, they're very close in my mind as being just as awful as the other, and they lead to a lot of similar behaviors later on in life, and I think the only, like, psychological abuse may pull ahead a little bit because of the fact that it's harder to identify, and then it can go on for much longer than that, of a child who's has physical marks on their body. So it's a lot easier for teachers or doctors or whomever, or babysitters, to identify this. So I think that kind of summed up my answer. I can't say that I'm like set on one or the other. And again, by no means do I want to take away from either one. They're both awful things and traumatic experiences. But I'm interested to hear what everyone else is thinking. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.